you so much for joining us tonight. This has been a year in the making. We weren't sure we were going to kick back off the podcast, but
we were on a little hiatus.
We were taking a hiatus because we both got, mostly me, I got burnt out from the podcast, and just even the content was questionable at best. We were running out of ideas.
Yeah.
After 5
and we were
seasons,
making stuff up.
And
half of it wasn't even true.
And half of it wasn't even good. And so
I said true. You said good.
I did. But then the more that we talked, and as I have continued finishing my master's, realizing how important it is to have intergenerational conversations and intergenerational gatherings, we realize this is such a great opportunity for us, boomer and millennial, to invite positive conversation about topics that people are navigating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for this season, we're so excited. We have a couple of different guests throughout. We're going to try to do topics that are relevant in so many different areas. We're going to talk about navigating your 50s faithfully with two of our friends, a part of the Church of God, #ad. We're going to talk about navigating being a parent in the digital age. We're going to talk about being a Christian in the world of AI. There's so many topics that we're going to be discussing here, Generationally Speaking.
And our wives are going to show up sooner or later.
Michaela Hansen, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we have a new set. Brad.
And Michaela, in case you were wondering, no, Jordan was not supposed to wear shorts, but you know.
I wasn't, no, and I feel very self-conscious. But, hey, we're going to get started. Tonight, we're talking about passing the torch. One thing that we wanted to do really well throughout 2025 is handle the lead pastor transition well. And if you are tuning in with us live and you didn't realize we are in a 6-month public lead pastor transition, spoiler alert, we are. But we have been in this transition, and actually, as I was doing the math, for actually about 5 years now, 4.5 years. And so tonight, we're going to just be walking through the entire transition. We want to pull back the curtains and bring you in on the conversation so you can hear our heart and hear about why Brad is stepping down from lead pastor but staying on staff, and what the future of the church looks like. And in doing so, kind of peeling back the curtain of what the last 4 years have looked like and what 2025 has looked like as well.
Yep.
And so if you have any questions about the transition from Brad to myself, comment down below. Either if you're watching on YouTube, we got 4 viewers on YouTube and about 12 on Facebook. Comment down below. We would love to answer your questions live. But essentially, we're going to just walk through back in 2021 where it all began, where my big buddy started to hear from God.
Well, you know, and the funny thing was you started talking about, we're going to go back to 2021, and I had to rack my brain to get back that far.
Well,
that's been a few years ago.
Kind of damaged.
Oh my gosh.
That whole 2 years after COVID started,
I'm telling you,
it truly did emotionally, physically take life out of us.
Mentally,
and it was like a flash. It really was. Man, we were putting on a wall, and praying and
hoping some of it stuck. Yeah, and it was almost a day by day, week by week thing of how do we what's next? How do we handle this?
Oh yeah.
And I started thinking back. For those of you who didn't know, I went on a sabbatical in 2019 and came back, and our lead pastor at the time, Bruce Colbert, we sat down in a Mexican restaurant like we always do.
Was it Casa Grande?
No, it was the other one, the one that went out of business. Arcos, yeah. And we sat down there, and he asked me, what was going on, what I heard, and the only thing I really came out with was God saying, to finish well, finish strong. And we got to talking, and Bruce kind of started processing, maybe it's time for me to step down.
Yeah.
And so within just a few months, honestly, Bruce decided to go part-time, step down, and I was going to become lead pastor in 2020.
Yeah.
And I was so
and you were excited.
Man,
you put those white pieces of paper onto the wall.
Okay, what he's referring to is I wanted to kind of
your first staff meeting. You had Donut Wednesday.
Donut Wednesday. I brought donuts every Wednesday.
No, not every Wednesday. You said the first Wednesday of every month.
Yeah, it was the first Wednesday because I couldn't afford it.
The second Wednesday of every month was Pizza Wednesday.
So I had these great big sheets of white paper. I wanted everybody to put their job descriptions down on the wall. We were going to walk through where our overlap was, what we're good at, what we need help with, and then it wasn't the next week that we started hearing rumblings of this COVID thing.
Yeah. And even at the time, it was still, you're talking still in January. So you're like, okay, you're hearing about this overseas. There's, it's not going to make it over here. And if it does, it won't be that detrimental. But then, man,
within weeks, it was like we realized that we were into another direction. And then, COVID hits, obviously. I had the wise prophecy that it was going to be over by, was it June 14th?
You kept saying June 14th. And a big part of that was that's because when they were telling churches it was okay. Like,
hey, we're going to just 2 weeks to slow the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not going to rehash all that. But anyway, it threw a wrench into every plan that we had, especially me stopping in as a lead pastor and what we were going to be going,
Even the health of our staff and elders, because we were all trying to lead through that.
Yeah.
And so you're entering into this as a new position.
Yeah.
Already having lost Bruce as your right-hand man.
Right.
And then we're welcoming, you're about to enter into 5 years of your children's pastor steps down, your C3 sports director steps down, your youth pastor steps down, and like it just said, Bruce had stepped down, who was the number 2.
Yeah.
And so you signed up. You did not sign up for all of this.
And the other thing that was happening at the same time, if you start to remember this, because I started processing this, is digital ministry was just coming on.
Yeah, we had just done the Propel campaign.
And we had just built this room that we were in right now.
Yep, this podcast setup
and everything. And so we were well positioned to go into the digital era. But we thought, and everyone thought, that church was never going to be the same.
Right.
People weren't coming back. Everything was going to be digital. We started heading down that direction, and it just, man, it flipped again.
Yep.
And so you just couldn't put your finger on what was going to happen with ministry. The other thing that was happening because of COVID, because of everything that's happening, is this whole political background.
Yeah.
Are you wearing masks or are you not wearing masks? Are you coming inside the building or you're not going to come inside the building? What are you going to do? And are you taking a side? Are you going to pick a side?
Well, all during an election year, too, then.
Oh, it was awful.
And so you got 2020, and you're going into the election.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And I had blocked all that out until, thankfully, you put it on the paper, and I had to think about it.
And so bringing us to 2021 then.
Yeah.
You've got all of that kind of underlying, and you're trying to navigate it as best you can with a staff that's unhealthy and feeling disconnected.
And when you say unhealthy, how would you describe that?
Just not performing at our best.
Correct. That's one of the reasons why I put the white sheets up on the. We're going to try to work through some of that. And it wasn't that we were in a healthy mad at each other, fighting. We just knew that
it was a disconnect.
We were not operating at full potential.
Right. And I would even say that not every single one of them. I mean, for me specifically, there just wasn't the same excitement. I guess when you walk into the office now and you just feel the camaraderie,
it's totally different.
There wasn't the excitement of man, I'm a part of this team. It was pretty much hey, we all kind of we survived this, and now what do we do?
And there was also a disconnect with our elders to the staff to some degree, and some of that, honestly, we'll just be honest, it was a political. It was this whole, how are we going to do church?
Yeah, there was a huge tension there.
There was a lot of tension there, so we knew we had to address that. So we started it. So that was all the background of 2021 of how are we going to get through all of that.
Yeah, and so at the time, I am the online pastor. I kind of got promoted into that role after 2020 hit, after COVID hit.
Right. Because we knew we had to have somebody just to head that up.
Right, and the young adult ministry essentially faded out and fell apart because of COVID. And so I was like, hey, I know social media well enough.
Because I was taking care of it at the first.
Right. You were running all of our social media pages.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so we kind of dove into all of that. So 2021 hits, Brad.
Yeah.
You just shared what we're navigating as a staff.
Yep.
You shared what some of the biggest challenges you were facing at the time. We just kind of explained the staff health and everything. The question, what was going through your head in 2021 then?
I went through, I won't say it was a dark time, but there was a time that I was really struggling. And, I talked to Barb a lot about that kind of stuff. And I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I was just asking God, I had all these plans, all this hit. Here I was. It's not turning out anything like I thought that it was going to. And the only answer I got from God, because I thought, your dad was my first lead pastor here. And so I'm thinking, I got to lead like him. The last lead pastor I had at my last church was a lot like your dad, same kind of personality. I thought, I got to lead like him. Bruce, one of the most amazing men in leadership that you know. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm following all these amazing people. God, I don't measure up. I don't know how to do this. And I just had this statement I can't say I audibly heard it, but he said, "I have you here for transition." I had no idea what that meant at that time.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought, okay, transition. From we had an abrupt Dan to Bruce, Bruce to me. Okay, I can understand that. So let's just kind of put this together.
And you thought that there was a period from Bruce to you.
Had no idea.
Yeah. Michaela asked the question, as you're navigating that in 2020 and 2021, and all of these things in the world are going on, you're starting to deal with all of that doubt and discouragement, even in 2021 of comparing yourself.
Yeah.
She wanted to know, did you ever question whether you had heard God correct and if you were in the position during that time? Did you ever begin to question that experience? Or that decision?
No.
Okay.
And here's the reason why.
Yeah.
I won't say there wasn't a doubt here and there.
Sure.
But because I had been on a church staff that I thought, okay, when I first started on church staff, I thought, oh, this is going to go brilliantly. I love what we're doing. Everything fell apart in that church. I was the last of 6 staff members to leave.
To say it kindly.
Yeah. I was the last of 6 staff members to leave. I thought, okay, well, that didn't work out well.
Yeah.
And so God brought me through that one. I went to work for another organization called Upward, and I thought, I'm going to retire here. 6 years in, that whole thing fell apart.
Yep.
And I watched God through all of that just come through with something else, and that's where Crossbridge came up. So even though there was all this discouragement, it was just a matter of, can I wait? Am I doing it right? If nothing else, it wasn't so much. I don't think I'm hearing from God. Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, that's good.
I hope that made sense.
No, it did. So in your head then in 2021, you're navigating some of that. You're seeing kind of the situation of the staff and even the elders and the situation with our country, the weight of the church. God places on your heart, I have you here for transition.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Well, you and I started having conversations.
Yeah.
And I guess the real question is, what was going through your mind at that point?
Yeah.
Because that's a big part of this, what's going on behind this also.
Yeah. And many people have heard my story of getting to Crossbridge. I've written about it, #ad. You can check out my books or my blog. But 2020 was a really pivotal year for me. Really dark year at the same time. Just navigating a lot of loneliness, depression, discouragement. I remember teaching a sermon that just ruffled some feathers, and just the response was discouraging.
Yeah.
And then within that, started questioning, why am I here? So then I went into some really dark places in 2020. And I remember God in August of 2020 placed on my heart, because I was questioning, am I supposed to leave? Am I even going to fit here? Will I ever fit the culture of Crossbridge? Will I ever be given an opportunity to lead? Because you guys were letting me preach about 12 times a year around there. So about once a month. And really that's more leadership than most 25-year-old kids get, 24-year-old kids. And so when I was navigating all of that, I'm just like, man, God, I feel like there's something more. And God, in August 2020, he placed on my heart, I created you to help hurting people find hope. And if you've been around, you've heard me say that before. And really from that moment on, August 2020, that just like, I just said, okay, God, if that's what you're going to do, I need you to help show me what's next. And that's all we talk about here at Crossbridge. Give me the next step. And so God spoke to me again and said, if you are going to lead well, you need to grow in gentleness, wisdom, and humility. And I said, okay, how do I do that? And again, I'm making this sound like me and God are having a back and forth. This was like over a couple of days of just processing and praying. And God said, I need you to pray an hour a day. You've probably heard me talk about this all of 2020 into the rest of 2020, about August 2020 until July 2021 when my son was born. I committed to praying 1 hour every morning from about 6:30 to 7:30 before I started my day. And those conversations with God saved me in a lot of ways. I grew so much in gentleness, wisdom, humility. I can't tell you the amount of people who came up to me saying that my sermons just felt different, that the Holy Spirit just felt like was clearly evident and present in my speaking, and that I seemed more prepared, I seemed more healthy. And all of that was true because I was finally focusing on the spiritual disciplines and my spiritual health. So then 2021 comes, and I'm like the healthiest I'd ever been right before my son is born. just a couple months before he was born, and you approached me, and we're still navigating. I mean, I think at the time I'm probably preaching about 18 to 20 times, and you're about 26 to 28, and then we got some other fillers and stuff. But then you approached me, and I wrote this down on the paper, but I don't know if you actually read it.
I did
this
read it.
conversation I'm about to share.
I don't really remember it.
Okay. So Brad approaches me, and he calls me up because at this time we're dealing with a potential. You're trying to find. We just found out our children's pastor was going to be stepping down.
Yeah, 20 years.
After 20 years.
20 years. So going into this, I'm thinking, okay, transition from Bruce to myself.
Yep. And
had no idea, as you said a little bit ago, 20-year children's pastor.
Yep.
Decided it was time for her to step down. Shortly after that, Barb steps down.
Yep.
My wife, who was running C3 Sports, largest ministry that we have at the time. And I'm thinking, okay, now what do we do? And then not long after that, Trevor, our youth pastor, walks into my house at one time and from 14 years and says, I think God is asking me to step down. And I'm thinking, seriously, God, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And so we are facing with all this turmoil here.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was going to have to be more leadership from other places. And I started hearing God saying, it's time for Jordan to step up even more. And
so that's 2021 as you started to hear some of that?
Yeah, that's when I started hearing some of that.
And I remember, so Brenda had just told us that she was retiring. And you called me over and you shared this with the church when we were talking about C3 Sports stuff and we were talking about other things. We had been processing, is Marissa the next children's pastor?
Correct.
We had been processing that for 5 years. It never felt like the greatest fit, but we're like, man, we just want to get her on the team. She's so great with people and has such a great heart for ministry.
And I would say this is the closest I've ever felt. I was actually in the interview, talking to her, and it was one of the clearest times that I heard God speak and say, she's not the children's pastor, she's a C3 Sports director. Which just, I was dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And it just kind of all clicked. I said, of course it is. How stupid can I be?
Well, I can answer that in a few different ways.
And a lot of people can answer that.
But anyway, as we're processing the Marissa stuff, here's the conversation that you don't remember. Apparently, our relationship isn't as close as I thought. Because this is the most pivotal moment in my whole ministry right here, Brad. You call me over. You call me over to Jake's office, which is the mixer.
Oh, I do remember this now that you said that.
And we're talking about Marissa, and then you start to tear up. I don't know if you remember this at all.
I actually don't think I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
you started to tear up, and you
Bruce is the crybaby. I'm not.
Yeah, you are a crybaby. And
I do remember this.
We start talking about Marissa, but then you start sharing with me about how you think that God is calling me to lead more.
Yeah.
And as you say that, you say, Jordan, I don't want to put any pressure on you, so I'm not going to say it. And I say, I know what you're about to say, and I've been starting to feel that way too. And we were thinking, you're probably my replacement down the road.
Right.
And you were thinking, I don't know how many years, it could be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it was. You didn't want to put any pressure on me because you know how much of an emotional maniac I am.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's just take this slow. What does this even look like? So then you said, you're like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to put a label on it. But what if you and I just started leading more so together?
Mm-hmm.
And so 2021 then really, and I don't remember what time of the year that was. It was shortly after Brenda had retired or stepped down and we were looking for our children's pastor.
Yeah.
You call me and you say, let's start building our chemistry because we went through, I would say 2019 and 2020 rough patches.
There were some times, really there were some times that we just
didn't see eye to eye. Right. Our personalities were so different. You guys might see us on the podcast now, and our chemistry is unmatched. And really, this is how we are 24/7. But it wasn't always that way where it was, when I say that our staff, we'd walk in, there just wasn't excitement. There was dysfunction, differences. And the way that we lead is very different too.
Correct.
So you sharing that with me, I wrote it down, literally probably saved my ministry.
Wow. Because
that whole time I'd been waiting for God to give me the next step and to give me more leadership. Cause that's my personality is I'm not the number 3. I'm not the number 4. Mm-hmm. I love being in charge and helping people develop.
Right.
And so there was always a tension within my soul of being a part of the troops. which sounds really arrogant as you say it, but every team needs someone that's wired that way. But God used that season of me waiting to, like I said, prayer hour every day, growing in gentleness, wisdom, humility, because I just wasn't ready. And in 2021, then you bring me into those conversations and you say, hey, this year, let us really develop our chemistry. Mm-hmm. So you started bringing me in on closed door conversations, just me and you. We started going to a couple conferences. We went to the Launch 32 conference at County Line together. We did the state meeting together. We did dinner about once or twice a month, honestly, before podcasts. And we just started having some of those more
The other interesting thing, I don't know if you remember this or not, and I don't know where this fits into all this, but we actually did some landscapes together.
That was right around 2022.
Yeah. And
that was huge for us.
It was huge. We had a couple of large landscapes just for people that we happen to know.
Man, I forgot about that.
And you and I had worked together, and that's when we actually became
really started
communicating. We
best friends. I mean, honestly, in those moments,
we dreamed about what the church could be.
Dude, I forgot about that. I didn't write that down.
Yeah,
those landscape jobs over the summer.
I wrote started landscaping.
I'm so proud of you. You do remember our.
I do
remember our get-togethers.
But it was weird. It was almost like God ordained those times just for us to spend hours at a time together.
And the jobs took twice as long.
They did.
Because
we didn't care.
we just would talk and dream. I forgot, man. That was in 2021, 2022 summers, really, where we were doing anywhere from 4 to 8 jobs a summer just together, dreaming, contemplating, talking about some difficult stuff of like, how do you approach homosexuality? How do you approach politics?
Right.
How do you approach, how do you navigate these topics? And that's when really the Generationally Speaking podcast let's start talking about these things.
Exactly.
Because in 2020 at the time, it was like Crossbridge Thursdays or whatever, C3 Thursdays, and we were just trying to do a live podcast.
Yeah.
2021, 2022, we're like, no, let's take these landscape topics and actually start talking about them from a good perspective. So then 2021 hits, we're focusing on our relationship. 2022, and we talk about this 5-year transition. Sorry to backtrack a little bit. A pastor that we've been following closely, Rich Velotis. We just did the Narrow Path series from his church. He's one of my favorite authors. He talked about in 2020, and he did a sermon on his lead pastor transition. And it was a 4-year process that him and the lead pastor before him did.
That's right.
And I remember sharing with you, I'm like, hey, if we're going to do this, we don't have to put a timeline on this. It's going to take 3 years, 5 years.
We weren't talking, hey, this is a specific time. We didn't have that time down yet.
No, because even at the time we said we could see it taking anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
I was in no rush to replace you, and you were in no rush to be replaced.
Right.
It was really, let's just take this. We knew the first step was we have to get closer. Because if we are at odds at all in these 5 years on vision of the church, direction, concepts, theology, etc., we're not going to be able to lead a transition well.
Right.
So then 2022, it was, now, Jordan, you've got to start earning the trust of the staff.
Right.
And I remember you coming up to me in 2022 with the concept of making your job easier.
Exactly.
It really was. That's the way to word it.
And this is one of those things,
And you felt guilty about...
I felt terrible.
I know we're joking,
I know.
But you'll explain it.
I felt terrible thinking that here I am making the big bucks,
big bucks.
And saying, what I want you to do is lead the staff. I want you to lead staff meetings.
Take over staff development,
Take over staff development and head to... And you were so excited.
It was so funny to me.
And I felt terrible. You were all in.
It felt like a reward. It was a reward for you in the sense that it took something that you struggled with.
I wasn't good at.
Right. And so it took that burden off you.
Right.
And it was like my paycheck just doubled.
Yeah.
Because I love developing people.
And I don't know if anybody will ever listen to this, but if there's a leader out there, a lead pastor, especially one that's been around for a while or older, you have got to let go of stuff like this. Don't feel guilty about it. Enable and put this kind of stuff on young leaders' laps.
You just shared some really profound humility and wisdom right there. Because that's honestly, friends, as you're listening, the amount of humility that Brad has had.
Oh, stop.
No. Shut it. That Brad has had. And right there wasn't even fake humility. That's how he's been this entire process. He has put the camera away from him. He has, this is a 67, 68-year-old boomer who has changed and grown more than any single human being I've ever met in my entire life. And to let a 25-year-old numbnuts into the closed door meetings.
I was just looking for someone to blame if it all went wrong.
And I would have taken the blame so well. But honestly, I don't think you realize most lead pastors can't do what you did. I know you won't ever say that or admit it. I hope you know let me just word it this way. Most presidents, business leaders do not get to the point of where you say, you know what? I am going to pour into the next person and give them the reins. Nobody does it like you have done it.
Well, and I wouldn't say that I poured into you. I just let you use your natural abilities and talents and your leadership skills.
But even just your friendship.
Boy, we like each other.
We love each other. Even your friendship, though, your encouragement, you sucked at encouraging.
I do. I'm terrible
at it. And now, not anymore with me.
Yeah, kind of.
Now you're one of my biggest encouragers. Even just giving me the reins of saying, like, hey, you make the decision.
Yeah.
Very few leaders get to the point where they see someone who is got raw talent and ability. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to... And you've done this with me since I've known you as a teenager.
That's true.
Letting me run football fields, referees, putting me in charge of different situations, overseeing referee schedules, drafting teams. Like, this guy right here is one of the most humble leaders you'll ever meet.
I appreciate
because
that. Let's move on.
Yeah, he doesn't want me to keep talking about him. So 2022, then you're like, okay, let us start building the relationships between Jordan and the staff. So I took over staff development. I took over staff meetings. And then also even just the conversations of, like, if there's conflicts on staff, you brought me into those. Like, hey, we're navigating this in this area.
Yeah.
Like, hey, children's ministry, help with this process.
We started actually co-leading.
Right.
Way before we announced it.
Oh, yeah. At least in 2023, like, truly co-leading.
Yeah.
But even back into 2021 when we started
And we've
this.
always operated. I mean, your dad did that with Bruce. Bruce did that with me.
Yep.
It's always been a team leadership. And we've always developed teams here. And so that was not unusual.
Yeah.
It's just finding the right chemistry and things like that.
Which is why 2021 we spent, and really last 5 years we spent so much time on our chemistry. But Michaela, hello. John Wall posted a verse that I love. Lamentations 3:25. The Lord is good to those who wait. And as you think about just you and your process and this whole transition, like how patient we've even been in this has been, because really until, 2024? I think 2024 we had the idea that 2025 would be the last year of transition. And I don't mean like 2026 won't be the transition out year, but right. Even that was the first year where we said, okay, by the end of 2025 we'll have the vote.
Yeah, we knew it was 2024 we made you co-lead pastor, right?
Yeah. And I think by then that's when
we knew that
was
the natural next step, and we didn't know whether that was going to be 1 year, 2 years, or when it was.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty clearly that I'm trying to think of when it actually was. It was in. The other thing we did was we brought you in on in with the elder meetings.
Well, so that 2022 was all about our year of me building trust with the staff.
Right.
2023 was then me building trust with the elders.
Right.
And that's when you brought me in on the elder meetings, which for those who aren't aware, we do elder meetings with we have 8 elders right now. 8, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that's once a month, third Wednesday of every month. And so you brought me in on those. And for the first 6 months and maybe even longer, I just was a part of the process, but right. I didn't speak up too much, just was a part of the meetings.
Right.
But then toward the end of 2023 and into 2024, you started having me lead.
You started leading them.
Those meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And we started building all the behind the scenes stuff still. It's still to this point, I'm the online pastor in 2023. You're the lead pastor. And all of this stuff is happening behind the scenes. We're just like, hey, the next step was to build relationship and earn the trust. Also, something that started happening in 2023 was I knew that some of the elders I had to repair trust with or had to build trust with. So I started going out to lunch and dinner with some of the different elders multiple times throughout the year just to build our chemistry. Because I'm a young leader. Our elders are all volunteer positions. They don't get to see the Monday through Friday,
right?
The day-to-day. And so I spent a lot
no matter
of time
how much I told them,
him
how much you were rocking it, you've got to have that connection.
Sure, you got to have that connection, that chemistry. And so
right.
I spent a lot of time in 2023 showing people, trying to earn trust by example.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to speak it. I'm just going to show you this is how I lead.
And that is brilliant for any of you young leaders right now. A lot of times what happens with young leaders is they start getting to a pushy thing.
Yeah.
And they want the position
Yep.
without putting in necessarily the work.
Without the posture. Position without the posture.
You put in the work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, because sometimes that sounds like you're doing it.
The ulterior motive.
Exactly.
The whole time, the ulterior motive was, I want to earn your trust.
Exactly. I want to earn it.
I want to show you that I can earn your trust.
Exactly.
I'm going to be the leader God made me to be, and I believe in doing so.
So if you're a young leader out there and wanting to know how to lead this, that's a perfect example.
Yeah. Don't have a position. Don't want the position without having the posture.
Yeah.
Is the best way to say it.
Being able to do the work.
Yeah. Do the work. Don't complain.
Just
show up.
Head
show
down and
out.
go.
And if you remember, in 2020 and 2021, and my spiritual disciplines haven't stopped there, but God formed in me. He said, Jordan, I can't bring you into leadership until you're ready. Like, you need to put in the work of an hour a day praying, followed by scripture, exercise. You got to lose 15 pounds. I was the heaviest I'd ever been in 2020. You got to get healthy in all areas. And then it makes perfect sense why halfway through 2021, you come up to me and you're like, hey, what would this look like? So 2023, we're doing all of that. We then decide, hey, the next step for 2024 is let's begin the public transition.
Right.
Which is, you're now promoted to co-lead pastor.
Right.
Which was a position we did not officially have.
It blew everybody's mind. we came up with this and said, we think this is the natural next step.
Yeah.
I can remember sitting down with Bruce and talking about it. And he even said, really? And when we walked, he said, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it gave the church this okay, it's not this fast transition that's happening.
Yeah. Because again, I was an online pastor. If we had gone from online pastor to, hey, we're putting Jordan's name on the ballot for lead pastor,
it would have been a shock.
Yeah, because even online pastor was a completely new role.
Yeah.
In the last decade.
And again, we said co-lead pastor because we said this is how we're operating.
We're co-leading.
We're co-leading. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Let's show the young people in the church, because we've got all kinds of new young people here.
Yeah.
That we believe in the next generation.
Yeah.
And we know that it's coming. We had no idea. Is this going to be 1 year? Is this going to be 2 years? Is this going to be 3 years?
We had no idea.
We didn't care.
No.
We just said, we know that this is the next step. We're going to take that next step, and that's what we did.
Yeah, and I had started my master's in 2023 for Christian leadership, and it was a selfish reason. It wasn't because the church said, hey, if you're going to be the next lead pastor, you need to get your master's. Nobody pushed me. Nobody pressured me. I think I had applied and gotten accepted before I even told you that I was doing my master's.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I really just wanted to grow as a leader and then grow in education. That's truly why I did it. So then we're going into 2024, co-lead pastor. I'm already a year into my master's program. And I think by that time, and this was the coolest part for me in 2024, up until that point, I did not truly hear from God if I would be the next lead pastor of Crossbridge.
Right.
It wasn't until 2024 that God shared that next step with me. We say this all the time, our mission statement, transforming lives by helping people take next steps with God. And we tell people all the time that God will show you the next step. Not the next steps.
No, and in my life, it has always just been the next step.
I would say for my scenarios, that is the case too.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was, we can dream about it, but it wasn't even this release with me of like, no, you're online pastor now, you're helping in this. And then 2024, okay. And part of that also speaks to, it's not like we were talking about this every day. This happened very naturally too.
Yeah.
Each year it's not like we sat down in 2021 and mapped out this year we're going to do this. If our chemistry and our relationship needed more time, like we've been working on a relationship for 5 years. It's not like 2021 we worked on a relationship and then we stopped.
Right.
We've had arguments since then. We had an argument a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That had us both in tears. And so like it's in the last 5 years, it really just spoke to God showing you this is what's next.
And it's been through all of those things, even the tough moments, because there's been tough moments.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of them.
Yeah, one of us tried to break up with the other not too long ago.
Yeah, and we've used those, and God has used those to make it even better coming out of those.
Oh, dude.
And so
true.
You wouldn't trade any of that, And I look back for those, because we get to ask this all the time. We've had people ask us this just in the last few weeks. I don't know what God's expecting or what's going to, what's going on. I said, you just need to take a next step. What's your next step? You want so many times we want all the layouts. Had back when I got called into ministry known everything that was going to happen up to this point to become this, I would have said no chance. I'm going to stay landscaping. I'm not, I'm not going to go through all that.
Yeah, and that's pretty good sound advice that we did not know how long this would take.
Nope.
But we're in 2024, and that's the first time God said, your next step now after this is lead pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got into co-lead pastor, and we like, I could lead. For me, the timeline, I remember us sitting in the elders talking to them about the co-lead pastor role. We're like, guys, I'm in no rush to replace Brad. Brad's in no rush to be replaced.
Right.
We are going to do this by God's timing. So we lead through 2024, and that was all about essentially showing the congregation now that we respect Jordan at this level.
Right.
But something I did in 2024 then was I'm like, okay, now I want to start earning the trust even more of the legacy crossbridgers.
Right.
And so I spent 2024, I took out probably 15 different people or couples in Crossbridge, and I didn't get to take everyone out. I know some of you are listening who have been, I call legacy crossbridgers people who have been here for 20 plus years.
Right.
And I didn't get to take every single person out, but I just wanted to take out 15 couples or individuals who have been invested in the church.
Been here a long time.
Been here a long time, and honestly, just hear their heart about the church. Show them that I care as a leader, that I'm not going to just be this new guy coming on in whenever I replace Brad.
And again, this was not a gimmick. This was your heart.
This was my heart. There was no ulterior. The ulterior motive was I want to earn your trust by being an example.
Yeah.
And I just want to listen and hear your heart. I'm not trying to win over votes. I'm not trying to win you over.
It was just brilliant.
I truly cared so desperately. And so 2024 happens. We walk through all of that, navigate all of that. And then we get to the end of 2024 and into 2025. And you and I start really having these conversations of, am I ready?
Yeah.
Like, is 2025 the year? Are we going to announce publicly to the church that this is the next step?
Yeah.
And so we get to there, and we determined that it was, but you knew you weren't ready to be done with church.
With ministry. Yeah.
I knew I wasn't ready for you to be done. And I had told you, even if you did decide to retire, I would love for you to consider becoming an elder.
Right.
Which a lot of people, I mean, the cool thing about our church is our children's pastor retired. When Trevor retired, it's weird saying when Trevor retired, but when Trevor retired, when Barb retired, so Brenda, Barb, Trevor, and when Bruce ended up leaving after 20 years but staying, they all stayed at the church.
Everybody's at the church, yeah.
And so for me, but with lead pastor transitions, and this is what was the anomaly about Bruce to you, with lead pastor transitions, more times than not at most churches, the lead pastor leaves that church.
Has to go.
Because it's not a safe community.
And it's understandable.
It makes sense.
Yeah. But because we built the trust, we took the time.
And our relationship.
We built the trust with you and the leadership, you and the elders, you and the staff, you and the congregation. There's not this tension here anymore.
I don't want you to go.
Yeah.
Like, people have asked me, will I feel threatened by Brad being there? Like, he's too much of a doofus to like. No, I won't feel threatened by it. Like, you're one of my best friends. We talk about everything together. You're the first person I text when I need to process something. If you weren't here in person, I would be upset. Like, that's just the relationship we have. So
we're gonna hug after this.
We're gonna hug after this. Hey, as we're getting near the end of kind of just walking through this transition, if you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, comment down below any questions you have. We'd love to process them. And then Erica Corson said, who would you pick on? Who would Brad pick on if you left? Who would I pick on if you left? Plus, we would miss Barb so much. Yes, absolutely. And honestly, I mean, we didn't even get to share how much our spouses have sacrificed for this church.
Yeah.
Yours even, I mean, mine has been here since she was a kid too.
Right.
But in the work capacity, not nearly as many years as Barb. And how people don't know how much you guys make. People don't know how many hours you guys have worked, how much you give. Like, I am privy to that information and part of that information because I see the behind the scenes stuff. But then we see how much Barb has sacrificed for the Crossbridge name. Y'all don't realize how blessed you are to have Brad and Barb Maddox.
Yeah, I knew from the beginning when we walked in, this was going to be our home, and had no idea when we walked into Crossbridge that first time that we would ever be on staff here. We didn't want to be on staff here. It was not our goal at all. We came to Crossbridge because we thought we'd never have to run a sports ministry because they were portable. We don't have to worry about running anything anymore. All we can take it easy from this point on.
Yep.
In the YMCA.
Portable in the YMCA, exactly. Michaela asked, so we're in 2024, going into 2025. How did you know when it was time to fully step down? How did we know that this was the year?
Man, that's a great question. I think for me, it wasn't necessarily even. I do think I had confirmation from God.
Well, I know you did because I remember after our elder meeting when they voted unanimously for me to be up next.
Yeah.
I remember you saying you slept so well that night and the next day it was like a relief off your shoulders.
Right.
And I don't know if that was the confirmation before, because we had to make that decision before we brought it to the elders.
I knew it was the right move that you were going to be the next lead pastor. There was no question in my mind about that. It was just a matter of when. And I don't remember exactly, but I finally felt released to say, the pieces are all there. You don't need to lead it anymore. But you can still be a major part. Yeah. And to me that was all it took.
Yeah.
And I realized it's just time. And 2026 is the right year.
Yeah. And for me, 2025
and I don't want to work any harder anymore.
You don't want to work any harder? Yeah. Well, you've done your time. You've done your time. Susan, thank you for your words. Sue Fisher says, just want to say we are blessed to have both of you. It's been a weird year, a hard year in some ways. We're going through another transition right now with youth pastor.
Mm-hmm.
I have not, we've received the question often about 2026. Like, what's next? What's next? Like, Jordan, what's your big vision and everything? I'm like, my big vision is to do what we've been doing.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm not coming with this 5-year plan and we're going to expand the building.
And when God asks us to take a next step, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a next step.
Yeah, seriously, people have asked me and we've joked and they're like, hey, so what's next? I'm like, next step is lead pastor vote. December 3rd or 4th, whatever that first Wednesday is.
Yep.
Okay, but what about 2026? I'm going to show up and I'm going to do exactly what I've been doing. And then what's next? We'll wait for God.
And we've honestly said this for the last few years, is that nothing's going to, you're not going to notice a change. You're not going to notice a change.
Yeah. It's almost like people aren't able to believe us because it sounds so boring.
It really is.
We heard.
Well, and they're used to churches,
new lead pastor, building expansion.
Not necessarily blowing up, but, there's this radical change, someone else news coming in. A lot of churches, they bring someone that doesn't even know the congregation in.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about what we've done over the last how many years? 14 years since I've been here, since I went on staff. 14 years.
Yeah.
It's all been in-house.
Yeah, and that's
it makes it so much easier.
It's been natural. It's been slow. And I think that's also we just hit on is a crucial point, because I think that's also why 2026 doesn't feel so new to us, because we've been processing this for 5 years. Like, we have been in this transition for 5 years now.
Yeah.
That it's not like this big change for us.
No.
Where you said it, we have been co-leading for the last 4 years, really.
Yeah,
and
truly.
So it's not like last week you came into my office and said, I think you're next, and I've got this big thing to start processing.
Yeah, we've been processing
We've been processing it forever. We got a couple more questions.
Yeah, Michaela's question is great. Answer Daryl first. Any chance Brad can do special appearances? I'm not leaving the podcast.
Oh no, podcast.
Hey, I named this thing.
Pretty much, he did. Pretty much. And when we say 2026 is not going to change, Brad's still going to preach until he decides that it's time to step down, or until I decide that
until you fire me.
Till he starts committing heresy up there. But it's so cool, and why we love, I'm not going to become a 50-week preacher.
No. That's not healthy for anybody.
It's not healthy for anybody.
In any church. And sorry, Brent, or anybody else is still listening, that it's unhealthy.
Yeah,
you can't do it. And
we team teach.
Yeah.
And so we're splitting our teaching calendar still. Even down the road, when Brad decides it is time to retire fully, you won't see me teaching 50 times a year.
No.
52 times a year. We're going to still have me teaching about half the time. And we're already starting to develop more speakers, more teachers.
Answer Michaela's question there. What are you excited about and nervous about?
What am I excited about?
And for next year?
See, this is why my answer is going to be so boring, okay? Because, and it's cool that Craig Rochelle at Global Leadership Summit just a couple weeks ago talked about boring leadership.
Yeah, I love that.
For those who aren't aware, Craig Rochelle, leader of Life Church, pastor of Life Church, it's the church that owns and created the YouVersion Bible app. He wanted to write a book called Boring Yourself to Success. And his publisher said it wouldn't sell. So what did he do? He made a Global Leadership Summit talk on the book.
Right.
And the concept is that the best leaders are the most boring leaders because they are just consistent.
They're just consistent. They keep doing the same
what
thing.
am I most excited about? I truly, the whole thing. I'm excited to be.
Because that's exactly what I would have said.
It's not like one, and again, we've never idolized the title. We've never put a mantle on the title.
That is brilliant.
So
that
I think
is correct.
That's part of it too.
It's never been about the personality. It's not been about the position. It's been about the mission.
Right.
And it's been about the church.
So
nothing
new is changing.
You and Bruce and I had this conversation not that long ago, and I said, I have never been so more certain, and I am excited about the future of Crossbridge. And Bruce said, that's exactly how I felt when you took over.
I remember you guys saying that in front of me.
And I thought, that's wild.
A couple weeks ago.
But that's the same thing. I'm excited about what's happening.
I'm excited about how we've handled this. I'm excited about the year. I will say I'm excited for kind of the finality of the steps.
Yeah.
There's some resolution of like, okay, but at the same time, it's like I said, because we haven't idolized or put the lead pastorship on a mantle, we're both January 1st. Well, we're going to be on vacation for a couple of days. January 5th, going to show up, do our thing, probably make fun of each other in the office, see what's next. And that's what excites me is like, it's boring. It's not an answer that like, I'm so excited to be, I've got all these fresh ideas. I don't. We're gonna do the same thing.
We're doing the same thing that God called us to 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know. For the last 4 years, we have been doing the same thing. I just told our staff yesterday in our staff meeting on Wednesday, I was like, we're gonna make 2026 the do nothing new year.
Yep.
We have done so many big projects. We've gone through so many staff transitions. I told them none of them are allowed to quit. I said none of you are allowed to die on me. I said, we're not doing a new building expansion. We're not building Bridge Kids back. I said, 2026, let's just do what we're doing well.
We're going to do it great.
We're going to do exceptionally well.
Yep.
We're not going to have these new big events that just kill us.
So now God will give us the next step.
And so God will give us the next step. Next question. Jen Lorraine says, will we still get Brad's words of wisdom even after he retires? Define words of wisdom.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
And here's been my heart is that as soon as Brad retires, if he is still willing, I would love for Brad to be one of our elders. And that's an unofficial ask down the road. I have no idea. That is unofficial. It is alleged.
Hey, I might be here for a long time. You're not getting rid of me that easy.
I don't want to. But whenever he's done, I would love for him to be one of our elders. And so, no, you're not going to lose his words of wisdom until he is ready, until he is incapable of thinking, speaking, eating, and pooping.
That's getting closer.
And I would say it's not necessarily in that order because I don't do the whole.
No,
I'm not going to wipe your bottom for you. But
it's time for us to get off of here because we're going south.
Daryl said, "Brad, what do you plan on doing with all the extra time you are going to have?"
I was going to answer Michaela's nervous thing. I'm only going to take one more day off a week.
Yeah, you're going. I'm going slightly part-time, but it's more full-time.
30 to 32 hours.
And friends, for those of you, it's the same thing that Barb tried to do when Barb stepped down to part-time. She still worked full-time hours. Yeah. So Brad
so my nervous thing is whether Barb's going to be able to handle me 2 days at home a week. You know, that'll be the thing.
Oh, well, that's why you'll be here. John Wall on YouTube asked, since you're going to be the lead pastor, can you wear an over-ear mic for sermons? I love my handheld mic now. I just do. Words of wisdom, anything to pick on Jordan. Yep. I always have anything to pick on me. And then Brent Begg said, God is up to something awesome. I couldn't agree more. Any more questions? Put them in the chat. What is? I'll ask this as a closing question for me, and then we'll get out of here because we got Thursday night football starting. As you think about the last 5 years, if you were to put a word
Oh my gosh!
or
You know
a
I'm terrible
phrase,
at this.
I do, but you're going to come up with something wise. Show these people why they're
I
telling
know.
you they're
Oh
wise.
man, now they're all going to understand why we're taking this transition.
If you were, and I won't even, and I'll say last 5 years, but I'll even say your journey from 2006 to where you are now. If you could put a word on that timeline, I've already got my word, what I'll do. But what would a word or a phrase be to kind of just identify with or give a theme?
The first thing that popped in my mind is God is faithful. I mean,
and that goes with what I was going to say.
You could not write the story that God has had for me since the time we got called into ministry. And
I think I put a blog out after we announced the public transition. Even if you lived through it, you wouldn't believe it. I think that was the title of the blog.
If you remember the sermon I did, I wrote down the timeline, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. I'm writing down all this stuff that has happened since I got called into ministry, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh,
yeah.
No one would have. You
even if you lived it, you wouldn't believe it.
You couldn't write this.
Yeah.
You know, God was faithful through all of it, and there were some very, very difficult, dark, lonely times in that.
Oh yeah. So my word, and I'm thinking back to when my dad died.
Oh.
So if you're listening, for those who aren't familiar, my dad was the lead pastor here at Crossbridge before he died unexpectedly in 2013. And the word I would use is redemption.
Oh wow.
Which goes again to God is faithful, but if you would have told 17-year-old Jordan when his dad died, hey, just hold on, in 15 years you're going to be the lead pastor. You're going to replace your dad. Just a redeeming story.
Yeah.
And now look at Mr. Teary-eyed over here.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
But it goes with yours. God is faithful. Like,
yeah.
God has redeemed this story.
Yeah.
So beautifully. Daryl asked, if you could leave me with one piece of advice going forward after you retire, what would it be? And you've given me so much wisdom and advice over the years of just like, it doesn't have to be new, but if you want to just share something that you've shared with me about, honestly, the heaviness of leadership, or what's the biggest thing you've shared within that even?
There is a heaviness to this position, which is I want everybody out there praying for this young man because it's challenging at times. And you don't know some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes that it just weighs heavily on you. But to answer Daryl's question, here's what I think as I look back through my whole life is I've been not patient enough waiting on God at times in my life. You know, had I been more patient, had I waited, because I'm one of those guys that are going to go out and make something happen. And
yeah, I think a lot of people are
it's gotten me in trouble at times. You know, it's, hey, I'm going to go do this, God, would you go bless it? Instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for God to open the door, and then I will walk through it. I've gotten much better at that later in life.
That's good.
But for young people, and I'm going to consider Daryl young.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Be patient and wait on God. He will come through.
Yeah.
It might not be in your timing.
Man, that's some good stuff. Hey, comment down below any more questions. We're going to wrap this thing up, and then we can respond to them later on. Thank you so much for joining us. This transition has been a joyride, a bumpy ride, has been filled with some painful conversations, so much growth, so much laughter. It's honestly just humbling to be a part of. So we're excited about this season of life, excited about what's next. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for episode 1 of the podcast. We have so many more great episodes to come. The business meeting vote happens in December, and we're just excited about what happens next.
Yeah. Colleen, I just wanted to reach out and say, hey, thanks for stopping by. That wasn't an accident. So glad you joined us.
All right. Hey, thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate you guys.